Sure. Great.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Reynolds. For most of you that join us on our training sessions, I'm sure you're used to my face and my voice already, and possibly my name as well. Tonight, I'm representing myself here in Ghana in a hat because I don't want to give Melanie the impression that we are all bald. Actually, I am, but as you can see, Melanie, you can see that Martin has a lot of hair. So yeah, we are doing quite good. I'm just trying to make sure the reflection on my head doesn't blind anyone listening to our conversation. So pardon me for the hat tonight. But for tonight, we are speaking with the very resourceful Melanie Brethour. If I got it right, I hope I got it correct. So Melanie is a resource elementary teacher in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. She's also the mother of an elementary-aged incredible boy with dyslexia. Her son is known for his incredible work with the Rubik Cube mosaic, which can be seen at, I'll share the link in our chat pretty shortly. Early in Melanie's journey in helping her son, she realized that teacher training did not adequately address how to help students who struggle with reading and writing. Consequently, she sought many professional development opportunities, including the prestigious Orton Gillingham training, and now is skilled in delivering structured literacy interventions in the school setting, and has recently begun to provide professional development sessions. Melanie advocates within her board and beyond, including through Decoding Dyslexia Quebec, which can be found on Facebook. Tonight, guys, whilst you show where you are from, for all the participants on the call, whilst you show where you are from, I'd like for us to give Melanie an e-welcome with a clap emoji in the chat section. So if you heard me, just indicate a clap emoji in the chat section. Let's welcome Melanie. Melanie, you are welcome. This is pretty much the African Dyslexia Organization. We try as much as possible to bring to the fore and make people aware of dyslexia, what it means to a lot of people. I can see Louis also on the call, on the meeting. Hi, Louis. That's pretty much what we do. We try as much as possible to also get to educate people on what dyslexia is. In our part of the world, some people actually tend to think that it's a curse. And so we try to demystify the whole process and to demystify the whole scenario as well. So I'd like to ask, how has been your journey so far with dyslexia, getting to know about it, all the training that you had to have and all that? How has been the journey?
Well, it's a journey. I wear two hats. So speaking of hats that you're wearing, I wear two hats that I'm an elementary teacher in Montreal, and I'm also a parent to a child who is dyslexic. And my journey has been an incredible one. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but it has had its challenges, obviously. When you have a child who struggles and, on a daily basis, and you're a teacher at the same time, and it's just really hard as a parent, as a teacher as well. You don't want to see anybody struggle, but when it's your own child, it's very challenging, emotionally draining as well. So, but I am blessed with, his name is Benjamin, and he's 12 now. And I always knew when he started school that there were some signs. As a teacher, I knew the signs, in kindergarten, if they're having difficulty learning their letter names and their sounds. And here in Montreal, we learn two languages, French and English. We're an Anglophone family. And we thought at the beginning it was because he was learning 2 languages that we thought maybe that's why he's having difficulty. But as time went on, we saw more and more signs that he just could not remember the names of the letters. He couldn't remember the sounds, memorizing words on little cards or spelling tests. We would be studying all week long, and the poor guy would get like 1 on 10, 0 on 10. And it was really heartbreaking. And so I knew it was definitely dyslexia, especially in grade 1. Here in grade where we live, we start teaching reading formally in grade 1. And we do have kindergarten, but that's more, play-based. And so we knew, I knew it was. I said to my husband, I said, if it's not dyslexia, I need to quit teaching and do something else. But he was, and we went on and, spoke with the teachers. The teachers knew that he was struggling as well, and they were very supportive. But we had to do a lot of things privately and on our own. Here in Montreal, it takes a while for students to get diagnosed, and they often say that they need to wait until grade 3 to get a diagnosis. I know in other areas of the world, sometimes you can get your child diagnosed in kindergarten, because we need to remember that dyslexia is a language-based disability. Many people think it's just, flipping letters backwards and the reading piece, but it's about communicating as well. So there's definitely signs, even, when your child is younger, even though they haven't been taught formally to read, you can definitely see some signs. And I didn't see those signs originally because he was learning 2 languages. So it's been ongoing, and he was officially diagnosed with dyslexia, double deficit dyslexia. So he's severe at the age of 8, almost 9. And he has a few other things going on for him too. Many times students with dyslexia often are diagnosed with other things. Benjamin is diagnosed with inattentive ADD, a mild language disorder, and dysgraphia, which is the writing piece as well. But usually those go kind of hand in hand often, because they're having difficulty with the reading, so they often have difficulty with spelling as well.
Right. That sounds quite interesting, and must have been one hell of a journey. But was there a time that you felt it was so challenging that you almost gave up? Because prior to getting the diagnosis that it was dyslexia, was there like a significant challenging time that broke you? It sort of made you cry or anything of the sort?
Yes, I have. When we found out, even though I knew he was dyslexic, my husband as well, we went privately to get a diagnosis, and we cried. It was, even though I knew he was, it was still like, this is going to be a challenge for him. And as I said, no parent wants their child to struggle. And,
Sure.
and if you're struggling all day long for reading and writing, it does something to their social emotional, their self-esteem. So I see a lot of that. As a teacher, I didn't see that piece because I saw the students having difficulty at school and what can I do to support them. But at home, I see that my son struggles a lot with, just anxiety. And I do think there is definitely a connection to dyslexia and, stress, anxiety. So it's been, homework was always a challenge, even though I knew he was, probably dyslexic. We would have lots of tears, and I would often get upset. I would be the one usually doing the homework since I'm, a teacher, and I'm sure there's many parents that are, can probably attest to that as well. How homework is so difficult too, right? These kids have been working so hard all day long at something that they're really having a hard time with, and then they have to come home and do more work. So I don't know, I guess every teacher, at least I can speak from my experience, every teacher is different in terms of giving homework. But Benjamin and I have had lots of arguments at the dinner table, and it's been a challenge. But I try to communicate with the teachers and say, you know what, having him memorize 10 random spelling words is really not helpful for him, for his self-esteem. Is there something else that I could do? Let me work on his sounds with him or something. So I think as parents, you can always communicate with the teacher and hopefully they will understand. I was doing some research on dyslexia and fatigue, actually, and these kids are tired. Their brains are actually working 5 times harder than somebody who's not dyslexic on the same literacy task. So these kids are working really hard all day. I don't know about you, but if you had to do something really difficult day in and day out, we would be so exhausted.
That's true. That's true. So, I mean, talking about teachers, what has been the support like before and post diagnosis? Have you had any before you got to know, or before they got to know? What was the support system like? And now that they know, what has been the support system like? Because one of the things we've also noticed is that, especially in our parts of the world, people that don't necessarily understand what dyslexia is tend to write off kids as dumb. They tend to write off kids as stubborn, and they end up beating them and all that. So what has been the support system before they got to know and after they got to know? Has there been any change, or has there been any significant improvement within how they approach the whole situation?
I think so. I think in the end, though, I think my message probably would be, regardless of a diagnosis, because not everybody can get diagnosed. I know here it's sometimes very difficult for families to get the official diagnosis. It's really about the intervention. So I'm, speaking with the teachers or, anybody that can work with your child, that would be my number one message to take away today. Regardless of a diagnosis, those kids, especially if you see the signs early on, need early intervention and evidence-based interventions. And it's true, a lot of people, I think that is a misconception that these kids are dumb, they're stupid, they're unmotivated, they're lazy, but they're not. Dyslexia has nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with their brains are wired differently, and they're processing language. The neural pathways are not as smooth. So we need to, continue to make those pathways even stronger by lots of repetitions. And here, at least, there wasn't. Benjamin was still getting the support early on because he was struggling. He was definitely struggling in reading. So he still got that support. We have here, I don't know, over there, individual education plans. So if a child has a diagnosis, they have some adaptations that teachers can do. But many teachers here will do the adaptations regardless of the diagnosis. And Benjamin is now at a special school where they have a bit more tools for him in terms of evidence-based interventions and adaptations. But before that, and I'm going to admit this, I am a teacher. I taught in special ed, but I really did not know what I know now because I went, my son was diagnosed, and I'm like, I'm going to find out everything that I can to support him. I don't think I did a bad job before, but I definitely, when I say it's been a journey, it's not only a journey with my son Benjamin, it's been a journey for my students. I've changed everything, how I teach the students that I work with as well. But I think that's the most important piece is these kids are smart. They're not dumb. It's just their brains literally process information differently. And we need to remember there is this misconception that reading is just, you just pick it up. It's like speaking. And reading is a man-made invention not that long ago, and our brains were not wired to read. And so it needs to be explicitly taught. So if you're, it's not like through osmosis where I'm just going to read books to my child and they're going to learn to read. If I play the piano, my child is not going to learn to play the piano. I need to explicitly teach them to play piano. So I think we need to remember that there's still a lot of curriculum out there that says, which is a balanced literacy approach. that says, just read to your children. I have often heard that too. Well, you should have read to your child more. Maybe they wouldn't be dyslexic, or maybe they wouldn't have difficulties, but that's not the case at all. Obviously, reading at home benefits your child, but I think the message is, our brains are not meant to read, and we have to rewire those pathways. And for some students or children, that is definitely more difficult. We need to remember that dyslexia is on a continuum as well. So we have mild, moderate, and severe. And I think it's very easy to pick those red flags when they're severe, but when it's mild and moderate, it's a bit more challenging. So
right. That's really enlightening. And this thing about Benjamin's talent. So guys, I've put a link in the chat box. Click on it to see what Benjamin is up to. He's spectacular. I went on the website, and I think I've seen a video of him or some of his some of the things he's done on TikTok. And when I saw it on the website, I was like, wow, so this is the guy. So he's really spectacular. And it goes to affirm the fact that people that have dyslexia are not dumb. For me,
no.
I've always said, and Rosa will tell you, people that have dyslexia rather have a 4D brain, whereas we have the 2D brain, they have a 4D brain. They can see things honestly, if you give me one Rubik cube, it would take like forever for me to solve it. So for Benjamin to use that to actually create art, this is just amazing. And so when did he start this kind of talent that he has? When did you notice it, and how has it been? It's just mind-boggling, really.
It is mind-boggling. I cannot do that at all. But this will be my message as well to the parents there and to teachers, because it's so difficult at school, and especially if they're in school for quite some time, they need to find something that they're good at. Now, my son has obviously a unique talent, but I truly believe that if we didn't give him that Rubik's Cube one day, he wouldn't be down this path for him in terms of Rubik's. So, I've never given him a guitar. Maybe he's a musician. So I think we, as parents and even as a teacher, we need to find their strengths, whether it's something, sporty, they love to do art, they want to be in drama. And there is a book called, you should see my area here. I have a million different resources just in case. But there's a book called The Dyslexic Advantage, and it talks about different strengths that dyslexics may have. And, really finding out what you're good at. And some people are more, great at communicating or being in front of the, camera or things like that. So my son, we gave him a Rubik's Cube, and he was able to just solve the cube, and we were blown away. And then he was able to make mosaics out of Rubik's cubes. So he takes the cube, and if you look at it, he has an Instagram account, and at the time he was 9 years old. So this was the beginning of it. And we were blown away. I brought some Rubik's cubes from home, like 10 of them. And I said, oh, can you, make something? And he did a little turtle. It was wow. Cute. And then we were like, my husband and I were blown away. And I think as parents, we're always blown away by no matter what our kids do. My daughter's in soccer, and we're like, oh my gosh, she kicked the ball so well. We just, you want your children to be, praised for all the little things, right? Exactly. And then we said, well, we're gonna see if we can do something bigger. So we bought some not official Rubik's cubes, and he did a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. And then we said, well, this is something that, this is a talent. And I actually do believe, if you read the Dyslexic Advantage book, that their brains are processing differently, right? They're more focused on the, the right, the right side of their brain. The left side is more for language and all that. So I sometimes wondering, his neural pathways are working differently. So maybe this is what he's able to do more easily. So sometimes I get, oh, this has nothing to do with dyslexia, but it's something that we encourage him to do. And when we're working at the table and he's having difficulty reading simple CVC words like consonant, vowel, consonant, like rib, I often have to give him a pep talk, like, yes, I know this is challenging, but your brain is works differently, and look at all the amazing things that you can do, And so that's it. So, and then he made a mosaic out of John Cena, the wrestler, and that went viral when John Cena tweeted about Benjamin, about never giving up, and it was really sweet. And then Rubik's Cube actually contacted us and Benjamin.
At what point you got in?
Pardon?
At what point did Rubik's Cube get into the picture?
I think it was like 6 months after John Cena tweeted, and it went viral. Like, it was all over the web. And they contacted Benjamin and said they would like him to be a Rubik's Cube ambassador for making mosaics. And so he does that. So it's really neat. We're super proud of him, obviously. And it's definitely a unique talent. Not saying everybody who's dyslexic will be able to make mosaics, but they definitely, I think that's my message to parents: find something that they're good at, encourage it, especially outside of school. And if there's things in school that they could do as well, like, I don't know, extracurricular activities or things like that. But that's how it happened with Benjamin. And we're still blown away by what he can do.
We are also definitely blown away. Just tell Benjamin, see, over here, when people have interviews with celebrities and all that, they usually would go like, so can you give us a line of this, your favorite song, or can you give us a verse in your movie or whatever? Just tell Benjamin we are rooting for him. And then at the back of our minds, in fact, closing one eye, we are looking at when he would actually do a mosaic for the African Dyslexia Organization logo, so that we can also display it on our website. I mean, hey, no pressure. But
I will speak to Benjamin for sure.
Definitely would love to see that, because I mean, he's totally talented. And as we speak, I know that after this conversation, Rosa would tell me to get her a couple of Rubik's Cubes to try her hands on a couple of things. But hey, I know Rosa, she probably might not be even able to put together the letter one like that. So Benjamin, we are rooting for you. Just tell him that.
Oh, thank you.
I see Louis. I believe Louis is your husband, right?
Yes.
Yes, I see Louis on the call. How has it been with Louis as well? Being the father, and I know most often you'll be taking Benjamin through assignments and all that. How has he also taken the whole? Because see, in our part of the world, I mean Africa, Ghana, usually the fathers are the very strict ones. They wouldn't understand anything, but seeing him on the call alone says a lot. So it's just amazing, and I'm totally overwhelmed with his presence. How has his involvement been over the time period?
Well, you could probably tell his involvement. He's here to support me today and to hear what I have to say. I guess also if I say anything nice about him too, but no, it's been a journey. When I say it's been a family journey for sure. My husband is fantastic, but I do take not the brunt, but the education piece, because I am a teacher, right? So maybe it would be more 50-50, but I actually want to do it as well. And so yeah, it's been definitely a journey, I have to say. As I said, you never want your children to have difficulty, and we often think of his future, right? He's only 12. He's going to grade 6. We finish grade 6 and then they go to high school, and we just are worried about his future, right? So, but I think having parents, whether you're a single parent, just to support your children, and try your best to be zen when you're doing the homework. I know that's really hard, but they're trying their best.
Right. I see Rosa has raised her hand already. Rosa, do you want to say something? But before Rosa speaks, if you have a question, you can type it in the chat box so I can ask Melanie about it before we go ahead. Rosa, you want to speak?
No, I like just how you said in our parts of the world where usually tends to be the mothers who are so supportive and all this.
Right.
And I just wanted to add to this to say that it's quite inspiring to see your husband here even supporting you and being with you. And this is what we tell the mothers that we work with or we speak with all the time. Because some of them will share that, okay, my husband doesn't even want to know anything about it because this is quite hard for him to take. And in your moment at the beginning, how was it for you and how was it for Louis, especially for Benjamin especially? How was it for him? How did he take it? And now that he's doing so well, how is the school also treating him? Because all this comes together and it really, really creates a very difficult situation for the fathers in our community here.
Right.
When I say severe, he's severe. Even at the school that he's at now, we have public school system, and he's in a public school, but they specialize for students with learning disabilities, not just dyslexia. And they told us that he's one of the most severe that they've seen. So it's been definitely a challenge for sure. I lost, there were a few questions you had. So I was just gonna, I definitely took, on more in the sense that, as I said, I'm the teacher, but my husband and I have been, working at it, I guess, and trying to provide, that's why we do the Rubik's Cube to help him with his self-esteem. And then when Benjamin found out that he was dyslexic, I know some people don't like labels. I often hear that. I have to say, when we told him, it was like a weight was lifted off his shoulders. It was like he finally understood why reading was so difficult. And I could have told him, you're probably dyslexic, but I wanted to make sure, he had the diagnosis. But it was like a weight lifted off his shoulders. I'm going to maybe at some point post a few little websites. There was the video we showed Benjamin when he was 8 called Seeing Dyslexia Differently. I'm not sure if you've seen that, by the British Dyslexia Association. It's just a few minutes. It's a really cute video, and it explains what dyslexia is to kids. It talks about strengths and all the fantastic inventors and entrepreneurs that are dyslexic. So it's a very positive. And we have to say that that was Benjamin to a T. It was like that's Benjamin right there. So we showed him the video, and he was actually, as I said, relieved almost. And so every time, we work at the table and he's having a hard time, I said, buddy, I know you're just going to have to work harder. We have to work harder. So there's lots of reinforcement at home, and I try and support, him as much as he can, and my husband as well. So I think it's important to tell, if you have the diagnosis, to tell children that they have dyslexia. I think it's important that parents, understand dyslexia. That's what I did. And I was like almost obsessed with learning, and I would share stuff, with my husband, and because I think you need to understand it, because some people, as you said before, think that the student is, the child's dumb or stupid, and it's nothing to do with that at all.
So I see Jody has shared a link to that video you spoke about on YouTube.
Oh, great. Perfect. I love that video. I've even shown it at my school. We've done some dyslexia awareness in October, and we showed it with, to students, and often students will say, I think I have dyslexia. Like, Oh, yeah, that's
So
great. Thank you.
interestingly, we also have October as a dyslexia conversation, like global conversation. The whole of October, we're just focusing on that. And there are several activities that we intend to organize for people to get to know more about it. Hopefully, we intend to include you. Actually, most of the time when I speak with guests on DGC and on the trainings as well, I always extend a hand of invitation to them to come to Ghana. Before you come to Ghana, I know you will come to Ghana. Before you come to Ghana, yourself, Louis and Benjamin, I would make sure Rosa organizes kente sashes for you guys. We may not be talented to use the Rubik's Cube to put that together, but definitely we have people that have the talent to put cloth together to get that done. And so we'll get that done for you for when you come to Rosa.
That's very nice.
This is ambushing Melanie to come to Ghana, so I hope that is allowed, Rosa.
It's fine. She will decide at the end of the day.
Oh, definitely. I'm pretty sure they would love to come here. So would like to take a couple of questions from people that are listening. So if you have any questions, you can just type it into the chat box, and then we can talk about it before we go. Is there any final word or like any specific advice you would want to give parents and teachers that are in the position that you were prior to you having the diagnosis, or even in the position now that you are, knowing that Benjamin has dyslexia and you're doing everything to help him, especially because remember you already spoke about the fact that with his father, you most often think about his future and what's he gonna do and all that. Is there any word you'd want to tell people over here and any other person as well? Rosa, after that, I'll take your question. I see your hand up still. So,
well, I think the most important is there's a few things that I made actually a Padlet. I can share that link where it's almost like a link tree where I put all different types of resources for parents. So I can share that with everybody. And there's from videos to recommended books for the parents and for the child as well. And I think it's important to remember that as soon as there's red flags, so if you're a teacher and you see some red flags, there's no waiting and let's see how, they're young, we often hear like, oh, they're a boy. They may need, let's just wait and see how they do. That would be my number one advice. Do not wait and see. Parents, go with your gut. Teachers, if they can get that intervention, that extra support on early on, it can make such a big difference because yes, you can learn to read no matter how old you are, but it's obviously easier to learn when you're younger, right? So that would be my number one advice is don't wait and see. As soon as you see some red flags, they can't remember their letter names, they can't remember their sounds, they can't sound out simple words, they may be, there's many different signs. And there's a fantastic book, not a book, but by the International Dyslexia Association, and it's called What Every Family Should Know, and it's a dyslexia handbook. Now, obviously, it's an American one, so it's even different from Canadian to the US, but there's a lot of fantastic practical information as well that you can, and it's free and it gives you some ideas too. And all the red flags from, kindergarten to even like high school. Right. And so there's one for teachers and there's one for parents. And I think, your child is trying their very best. When I say that, it's not about lack of trying. They are trying really. Oh, great. Perfect. Somebody already put it in. Thank you.
So Jody says,
hi, Jody. I know Jody.
And I think she's going to give you support and going to be there for you wherever, whenever. Thank you very much, Jody. That's really inspiring to actually be supporting Melanie throughout her journey. Rosa, I still see your hand up. I don't know if you still want to ask a question. If you still want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself and ask that.
Yes. So here we do understand that dyslexia is genetic. And if you look in your family, which side would you think Benjamin got this from? Because most of the time, the parents I speak to will tell you, I'm fine. I was like a first-class student. Their father too say, I'm a first-class student. And so what do you mean that my child is dyslexic and it's something to do with genetic? Can you please speak a little bit on that for us?
Well, we need to remember that dyslexia is a language-based disability too. So it doesn't always necessarily mean that it's, obviously has an impact on their reading, right? But it could be, early on that they're having difficulty, processing, information. So I think it's important that we remember that. I'm trying to think about what to say. Sorry, I lost my train of thought again. I am nervous today.
It's all right. Relax. We're good. You want to take that again?
Yes. Yeah, I went off on a tangent there a little bit. Oh, the heredity. Okay, so there's a 40 to 60% chance that, and there's different percentages out there. I've seen some higher and some lower, that if one parent has it, that there's a 40 to 60% chance that the child will have it. If both parents have it, I've seen that 90% chance or even 100%, but it depends on the organization that says it. I'm not sure who has dyslexia between my husband and I, but I definitely think it could skip a generation too. I think my grandfather didn't finish high school. He dropped out, I think when he was 12 or 13. So it depends. I'm not too sure. I feel I don't have dyslexia, but there's some times where, I forgot what you had to say. So, I think it's just important to not be ashamed. There's no blaming. I don't blame if it's on my husband's side or my side. I think you have to unite together and just say that we're going to do our very best to help support your child at school. And I think that would be my answer to that question.
That's great. I think you've done justice to the question very much. And Rosa, yes, your hand is still up. Any further question? I guess.
Yes. Because like for me, for instance, when I look within my parents, then I'm like, oh, probably my mom, because she dropped out of school. But then she had me at a very young age. So I don't know if because she dropped out of school, that's what, maybe that's where I got it from, or maybe because she had me and she dropped out of school, then she couldn't continue her school. And that is the reason why I'm saying I got it from her. But I can also really tell where I got it from. And mine is also severe, but I didn't know until like age 30, 31. And so I didn't have it addressed. I don't think any of my talents was built or nurtured. So I'm very happy that Benjamin, you were there, Louis was there, and then you kind of figure it out at a very early stage. And parents, that is why we always say that don't wait until it's late. Some of the parents that I speak with, what they do is even after they've had the assessment and it's confirmed that your child is dyslexic, still is in denial. And they don't want to accept it. They feel like they will be stigmatized. And so they leave the child. One parent spoke to me and was like, oh, we discovered around age 9. And as we speak, this child is like 26. They didn't do anything. And so hearing you speak and saying how early you started, parent, this is what we say. Don't wait. Don't wait. Seek this support immediately. And if you're a teacher as well here, I hope you'll be inspired to learn the best ways to teach like every child, because we say something that the best method to teach a dyslexic child can be applied to any normal learner, but you cannot use a normal learner's approach to teach a dyslexic child. So if I'm a teacher, I will really educate myself to be able to cater for all the students that are under me. And I'm sure that's what Benjamin's mom is also doing today, and he's helping his son, but not just only his son, he's also helping other children as well. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. And yes, so that's another piece to this. It's what is that effective intervention look like? And even as a teacher, I didn't know that. So I'm not only spreading awareness about dyslexia, I'm also spreading awareness about what does effective intervention look like. It's based on the science of reading and structured literacy. And I know it's difficult for parents to do that, but there are some, when I post that Padlet, maybe you can see there are some free phonics programs that you could do at home if you want. I know it's a lot, even as somebody who is a teacher working with my own child, can be very frustrating. I have a lot more patience for other children than my own at home. And so if you can get somebody else to do that intervention, but even here where I live, it's very difficult to find somebody who can teach students with dyslexia, because they need explicit, systematic instruction, and it's structured literacy. As I said, it's not osmosis where, let's just, expose them to books. They need to be explicitly taught. And as I said, those neural pathways, some kids need just, 5 to 7 repetitions, and that word is mapped into their brain. But I have experience where when I say, I taught, Benjamin the word what, for example, I must have shown him that word thousands of times, and it's still difficult. So there's a lot of not new research, but there's a lot of research out there on how our brains are wired and how we learn to read. So it's a lot for parents to take on. I totally understand that, but I'll post the Padlet, and there's some information about that as well. But it's structured literacy is the best approach to teach students to read. I see that question. Is Benjamin able to read now? He can read, but he's definitely not at his level. And as I said, he's severe, so he needs lots of repetition. When I said, the word what, like we used to, well, a lot of people still teach just like with sight words. It really isn't the best way to for dyslexics to learn how to read, like the whole language and all that. And that's a whole other maybe discussion another time. But he does know how to read, but he's just not at level. He's supposed to be in grade 6, and he's definitely maybe reading at a grade 2, grade 3 level. He has made progress, but it's really slow and steady with him. As I said, there's no two dyslexics alike, and it's mild, moderate to severe. He's severe. So parents, do not give up. Just they need those neural pathways need a lot more repetition if you're definitely more severe.
So I think that slow, steady, or a slow progress is better than no progress at all.
Exactly. It can be frustrating maybe as a parent, or just to say, oh my gosh, you're still having difficulty with that word. I've done that, where it's like, oh my gosh, you still don't know that word. But then I need to realize his brain is wired differently, and he just needs a lot more repetitions than maybe the average dyslexic even.
Right. So Rosa says it's okay. She's still not able to read all words. Benjamin is young and definitely will get it. And we believe very much so that Benjamin will get it by the time he gets to our age or when he grows further. Melanie, we are so very grateful for spending time with us tonight. We cannot quantify the value of the information you've given us, and our gratitude knows no end. We are totally and eternally grateful for taking time out to sit with us here tonight. I don't know what time it is at where you are now. It's around 7:18 here. I believe it's about
3:20 in the afternoon here. I'm glad I double checked the time zone because I totally had it wrong this morning. So I it's a good thing. I would have felt terrible, but thank you so much for having me. I could talk about this forever. So you know,
forever.
and if maybe I'll post the Padlet right now while I don't know.
I think so. I think you should. And,
I'm going to do that right now.
As part of the many people that I keep asking to come to Ghana, I'm extending a hand of invitation to you, to Louis, to Benjamin, to the whole family to come over here. I mean, who knows? There are several inspirations here for his work of art that he is currently doing. And there are several things that you can pick up from here whilst you are also here. So Melanie has posted a Padlet link in our chat box. You can all access that so for your consumption. But like I said, if anyone has any question at all, this will be the best time for us to speak to it before we let Melanie go. So I'd allow just a minute for any question to be answered before we do let her go. And I must say a very big thank you to Martin as well. Martin has always been resourceful. He's always there to make sure he interprets for our brothers and sisters that also have a hearing impediment. And we have quite a number of them on the call at the moment. And I believe very much that it's been a great time listening to you. We anticipate having extensive conversations, hopefully in October when we have the Dyslexia Global Month conversations and all that. That time, I assume that we would definitely go beyond an hour. We could possibly do 2 or 3, but we look forward to having a conversation with you again. It's been amazing. A lot of the times I enjoy having conversations with people when it's not forced. It doesn't look like it's an interview. And that is exactly what you've done tonight. And we are
great. Thank you.
Totally grateful. We'll be looking for, I think you still owe us a training though.
If it's on structured literacy and the science of reading, I am there. I could, as I said, I'm very passionate and obsessed with spreading awareness about dyslexia and structured literacy and the science of reading. So they go hand in hand, right?
We will definitely make that happen if that is what is going to get you to give us that happen. So look forward to another request from us for that training session. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the people that joined us tonight. Our biggest thanks goes to Louis, who also joined the call to support you and to support the cause. We are very grateful. We hope to see you one of these days. Possibly our next conversation, we're going to have a three family member, or the whole family is going to be on the call for us to have that conversation. So thank you, Louis. Thank you very much for the support over the years. And you are a big inspiration for us. Seriously, you are, I'll say you are the yardstick for a lot of us to follow. And we are really grateful for allowing Melanie to come be with us tonight and for all the information that she's given us. Thank you. Thank you to Lady Rosa also for putting this together, and to all the people that joined the call tonight. Thank you once again, and see you in 2 weeks' time when we have our last training for the year with Dr. Anupma and Mr. Alex Asante. Thank you very much, guys. From us at the African Dyslexia Organization, we say good night and bye-bye.